What's good, y'all? It's your boy Sean P. the Bluff Guy. Hey! And we are back with another reaction stream. And today we will be reacting to YouTuber Ohara. Yeah, very, very popular, very big One Piece YouTuber. We've done a few of his videos before. Someone sent me this video in the Discord. So I was like, hey, let's talk about it, right? You guys wanted to talk about it, so let's talk about it, right? And the title of this video is Luffy is not Joyboy. Joyboy is Luffy. It's kind of sound like one of them tomato type things. I don't really know. I don't really know where this is going to go, right? I don't really know where this theory is going to go. But before we talk about the theory, first let me say, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe and hit that bell for notifications so you guys know when I go live, right? And if you were before I get that part, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to stay updated on what I am doing. And if you're looking for a One Piece community, we have the Discord and we have the One Piece Facebook group. So, explore those at your leisure. They are all in the description. I don't really know how we take that, right? I don't really know how to take that aspect. I don't know. I would think it's kind of like one and the same type thing, like Joyboy being Luffy, Luffy being Joyboy, but more in a inheritor sense, right? Like where, like this whole Luffy and Joyboy thing is like it's weird how decisive it is. It's weird how decisive how people got different philosophies on the Joyboy being Luffy thing and the Luffy being Joyboy thing. I don't really think it's that complex, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, to say that Luffy's not Joyboy, but Joyboy is Luffy, to me, it's not even that much different. You know what I'm saying? It's not that big of a difference for me. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Angel Room with the yo. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. To me, it's one of them. It's just a matter of semantics, right? It's like people just having to say, well, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't really have much to speak. I don't, like this topic is just kind of confusing for me specifically, because it's like I feel as though they're just the same, right? They're the same. Like Luffy is kind of like, I don't want to say he's a reincarnation of Joyboy. To me, it's more of a case of Luffy inheriting a will, right? Because I think that is a big theme in the One Piece series. I think it was even stated about it. I think it was even stated somewhere. I can't remember. I've done videos before about inherited will and all that. So y'all go. I've done streams before about inherited will. So y'all go ahead and check those. You know what I'm saying, to get a better understanding of my philosophy on inheriting, like will inheritance. If you guys go back to my Reddit theories from, I want to say back in December, right? I think it was back in December, last December. I did some Reddit theory reactions, and one of them was about inherited will. So I think I'm more on the side of inherited will, of Luffy inheriting the will of Joyboy and or Nika, because I think Nika and Joyboy are also very closely connected as well. You know what I'm saying? Angel Room said it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say. Yeah, it will be. And I don't really have much, because I don't really understand the difference. You know what I'm saying? Like Luffy not being Joyboy, but Joyboy being Luffy. I think that's what he says, right? Luffy is not Joyboy, but Joyboy is Luffy. It's like if Joyboy is Luffy, wouldn't that still make Luffy Joyboy? I don't know. I don't. To me, it's kind of like it's creating semantics, or it's like arguing semantics for the sake of a theory. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. But let's I guess let's get into the video. Cause I don't really know where to go from off of just the title. I don't know where he's going to go with this theory or what his main point is. You know, maybe he has a point. Maybe when he explains it, it'll be like, oh, okay, I get what he means. I get what he means. But yeah, let's get into this video. And I like Ohara videos, so Ohara makes some great videos. So I believe if anybody can really if somebody could get away with making this statement and then making it make sense, I believe Ohara is one of them. You know what I mean? Or Manu. I think Manu is definitely one of them. So yeah, let's get into it.
What is the One Piece? What happened during the Void Century, and how will One Piece, the possibly most well-written story of our time, end? These are the three biggest questions that every One Piece fan is burning to get answers to above anything else. And every now and then, a theory comes around, an idea so wild and different that no matter how
Angel said, I think it's like Yamato is Odin, but Odin is not Yamato. I don't think that's the case. I completely disagree with that statement. Why do I believe they're different? Like Luffy has never stated to be Joyboy, like Yamato has stated to be Odin. Yamato is literally acting like Odin. You know what I'm saying? Like, or trying to act what she or he believes Odin to be, right? Like Yamato admired Odin and wants to be Odin, right? Luffy has never stated to want to be Joyboy, never like admired Joyboy. It's just Luffy's path, Luffy's destiny is, I would say, more so kind of mirrors Joyboy, or at least is heavily influenced by the will of Joyboy. You know what I mean? Without Luffy even realizing this. You know what I'm saying? So, where you got Yamato, who just read a journal from Odin and just admires this man and wants to be this man. You know, that's one thing compared to Luffy actually, more so Luffy's destiny and will being heavily influenced by the will of Joyboy. You know what I mean? So I don't really think that's a great comparison, you know, because it's just, you know, when you look at the details of how they both are, it's nothing alike, you know. You said I was throwing a suggestion out there. Yeah, but I'm just saying I don't think that suggestion is pretty much a good one. You know, I get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying, but it's just they're just so vastly different. The two scenarios where I just don't, I can't even, I guess, entertain that comparison. But yeah, let's continue.
Unlikely it might be to actually turn out to be the truth, it completely turns our perspective on One Piece completely on its head. This is one of these ideas that has a very unconventional and radical take on the final twist of Luffy's adventure to become the king of the pirates and change the world. Why? Well, because it involves one of the, if not the most controversial tropes of storytelling, time travel. And yet, even though I'm usually very skeptic of this concept myself, if what I'm about to tell you is actually true, it would make the
Okay. So time travel, huh? Time travel. This theory is kind of this theory is kind of going off the whole time travel premise. So I guess where I believe this theory's gonna go is he's gonna say Joyboy traveled through time, and even with time travel, I still don't get it. I still don't think because it's not like Luffy, like it's not like when we start with Luffy, he was already a grown man. So it's not like we never like if Luffy was just this mysterious character that we never really got a backstory for, right? Like we've only known him at the age he currently is, or maybe let's say 2 years ago at the age he was 2 years ago when we met him, right? If that was the case, I could see time travel being a thing. You know, like he came from the future to exact this plan, right? But he was a kid, right? So it was like, does that mean he also de-aged himself? Like he went back through time, maybe let's say Luffy's mom had Jory Bonnie's devil fruit, or let's say Jory Bonnie is Luffy's mom. I don't know. I don't even know how that would. Or no, not that Jory Bonnie is Luffy's mom, but like Jory Bonnie is there with Dragon. Let's say Dragon discovered Luffy as after he came from the future, and him and Jory Bonnie was like, look, how about this? How about we make you younger, right, with Jory Bonnie's ability, you know, be it Jory Bonnie herself or somebody with Jory Bonnie's devil fruit. We make you younger, and I'll take you in, and you'll be my son. I'll look at you as my son, and I won't take care of you. I'm gonna leave you to Garp. I'm gonna tell my dad that you're my son so he could take care of you. But you know, you're still my son, right? You're still my son, and yeah, you'll just grow up again like a normal person, and you'll eventually be Joyboy again. You know, like I don't know how time travel really affects us either. But I feel as though that's the only, like, it has to kind of happen like that based off of how we seen Luffy's upbringing, right? But that's if he's going that direction, and it kind of sounds like that's the direction he's going. Angel said, yeah, but Joyboy was meant to be Yamato in the example since the title says Joyboy is Luffy. I still don't see how that's a good comparison. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just like what I'm saying, I get your analogy, but what I'm saying, right, is Luffy equaling Joyboy and Yamato equaling Odin, they're not similar. You know, those two situations aren't equal because Yamato is pretending to be Odin, where Luffy is actually Joyboy. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. You know. They said probably a future sight theory. I don't know. Let's see where he goes.
The most satisfying ending to One Piece that I personally have yet come across. So, based on the most recent developments in the story, we've all taken it for granted by now that Luffy is Joyboy. Whether that means that he's possessed, has awakened his spirit, or simply has inherited his will, many people were quite skeptical about the idea that Luffy might stop being only Luffy, but become a child of prophecy who was destined to do great things right from the start. And so rightfully there was the worry that Luffy being some sort of reincarnation might take away from his achievements and being the special and unique person who we all have grown to love and cheer for over many, many years. All of this now thrown overboard with the reveal that Luffy is Joyboy, the man Roger and Odin and many others have been waiting for. But what if we actually got it all wrong? What if it's one of Eiichiro Oda's famous red herrings? Like how Teach said that he didn't have the type of ambition to become the 2nd Division commander because of course he had much greater ambitions than that. Or how the Gomu Gomu no Mi was a mythical zone fruit all along. So what?
It kind of made me laugh with the whole Blackbeard thing, like him not wanting to be a commander because he had bigger ambitions. Like, look, man, why would I want to be a freaking commander when I'm looking to be the king of the world, man? Like, you take that little phony position and stick it straight up, yo, hoo-ha. Angel said, I know what you mean, bro. I'm just going off the title because it's saying Luffy does not equal Joyboy, but Joyboy equals Luffy. Yeah. I get what you mean, but I think I think the wording, because you say equal, right? The wording isn't equal. It's Luffy is or Joyboy, or Luffy isn't Joyboy. Joyboy is Luffy. That's not really the same to say Luffy equals Joyboy. It's not. It's not the same as saying Luffy equals Joyboy and Joyboy equals Luffy. It's like to say Joy. It's like this. Here's a better example of what he's saying. Right. A square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square, right? So in that case, it wouldn't be a square equals a rectangle and a rectangle equals a square, because a rectangle isn't always a square, so they're not equal, right? They're not equal. But if you look at the properties of what makes a rectangle versus the properties of what makes a square is a rectangle, and you can look this up. I'm not just coming up with an explanation out, but this is just probably one of the best analogies I could use. So it's like saying a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. So in this situation, it's like saying, which is still confusing. I get it. In this situation, it's saying Luffy isn't Joyboy, as in what we believe Luffy to be, I guess. But Joyboy is. I'm still confused. I'm still confused. But my purpose of what I mean with the whole rectangle and square, it's the equal part. It's like throwing in the equal, like what you just said. You said Joyboy equals Luffy. Like that's. It's the wording. It's the wording. My point. He didn't say equal. He said Joyboy is Luffy. Luffy or Luffy's not Joyboy. Joyboy is Luffy, which still confusing, but it's different than saying Joyboy equals Luffy, and Luffy does not equal Joyboy. You know what I'm saying? And then Angel says, yeah, that's better. And a square equals a rectangle, but a rectangle doesn't. But when you say equal, that means that they are the same. You know what I'm saying? That means they're the same. You know what I'm saying? On both sides, on both ends, right? What I'm saying is the way he words it, it's kind of like saying like, it's not about them being equal. It's about one being the other and the other not being the other. I guess some along that line. It's the word equal that you're using is what I'm disagreeing. Because you're saying like Joyboy equals Luffy. Because for a square to equal a rectangle, that would mean a rectangle equals a square as well. You know what I'm saying? Like 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2. Or 2 equals 1 plus 1. You know what I mean? But something along that line, it's kind of semantics. Yes, I am arguing semantics, but it does make a difference is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying that specifically, that situation, the square being a rectangle and the rectangle not being a square, it's to say a square equals a rectangle, that means that they're the same all across the board. Is all I'm saying, right? It's just saying they're both the same all across the board. Regardless, if you flip them, they're still the same. But if they're not the same when you flip them, then you shouldn't really use the word equal, right? And then you say, yeah, I'm misusing the word. And that's all I'm saying, right? I get what you mean, though. I do get what you mean. Don't get me wrong. I get what you mean. I'm just saying it's using that word equal. We're sitting here talking about mathematics on the One Piece stream. Well, let's get back to it, y'all. Let's get back to it.
What if Luffy wasn't really Joyboy? What if Joyboy was actually Luffy, who traveled back to the Void Century? Sounds absolutely.
But I agree with you, though, on the aspect of Luffy equaling Joyboy and Joyboy equaling Luffy. I do agree with you on that aspect. You know, I don't think there's, you know... Let's see. Let's hear him out, though. Let's hear him out, because maybe he's probably going somewhere with this. In order, if he made a video, a 15-minute or a 16-minute video about this, he has a point. He ultimately has a point. So let's get into it.
Absolutely ridiculous at first, but you might be surprised how well this would actually fit into the storyline overall. And so, even if I wouldn't rate this as the most probable thing to happen in the story, I'm sure you will enjoy the conclusion to this just as much as I did. It all started with a mysterious message I got a few weeks ago from a subscriber of this channel who shared with me a number of articles and posts about the idea that the strange world of One Piece might be the result of a time loop or time leap happening. Now, a lot of these ideas were basically pure fan fiction. However, a few ideas here and there stood out to me as quite interesting at that point already. For instance, how certain events seem to repeat themselves throughout the story. The government that has apparently conducted major cleansings throughout the centuries, very similar people like Joyboy, Noland, or Roger repeatedly popping up in different eras, how the Void Century and people of the past keep communicating with the present through objects like the poneglyphs or inherited will, and of course the parallel between Luffy's straw hat and the giant straw hat on Marijaw kept by Imu, the secret ruler of the world, who, by the way, looks a lot like a giant hand on a clock sitting on her throat. And in general, as you know, time shenanigans are and always have been a very popular theme in anime and manga, say for example Your Name. However, the thing that finally got my full attention on this idea was a 2-year-old video by a smaller One Piece YouTuber called Otherwise Ace, who published a really awesome video titled Luffy is the original Joyboy from the Void Century, long before Zunisha ever recognized Luffy's awakening as Joyboy. Big shout out to him. I'll leave a link to his video in the description below. Okay, so in his video, he gives a bunch of wonderfully collected evidence how Luffy and the Straw Hats time traveling back into the Void Century would fit surprisingly well with the story up till now. And given what we now know about Luffy and his devil fruit, I think this all has become just the more likely and fascinating. But before we talk about how Luffy and co would even get into the past,
bruh, just imagine though, man. Like how? But that'd be wild though. Like, what if the One Piece was actually? What if Laugh Tale was in the past? Like, what if Laugh Tale is in a different time, right? Like you have to go to the past in order to find Laugh Tale. Like, I mean, I don't think that's the case. I'm not saying that's the case, because if that was the case, then when Roger went to Laugh Tale, he would have literally been in Joyboy's time, and he could have possibly even met Joyboy. I don't know, right? But man, but just imagine getting a time traveling arc though. Like, I don't think that's likely. You know, if you would have ever asked me about them having a time traveling arc, I probably wouldn't have believed it. I still don't believe we'll ever get something such as a time traveling arc. I think that's kind of a stretch, but it'd have been like a unique way to. It would have been a unique arc though. It would have been a unique arc. Angel said, I would think it's possible, but Luffy has shown multiple times he don't care about what happens in the past. Yeah, but I think if they went to the past in the arc, right? If they had an arc where they went to the past, it wouldn't be necessarily to change anything. I think it would be for a particular reason, right? There will be a particular goal that makes them either have to go to past or they're like sent to the past, right? Maybe somebody with a time fruit like a time fruit, but the opposite of Toki's, right? Maybe they send them to the past. But I don't think I don't think we'll ever get like a Void Century arc where the Straw Hats go to the Void Century. I don't really think that's going to be a thing at this point. Especially now we know that Oda's trying to wrap up this story. You know, we're going into the final saga of the story. We know that we have to get the Laugh Tale. So we know we need a Laugh Tale arc, right? We need a war arc where it's going to be possibly the alliance, like Luffy and his allies versus the world government, possibly. We need an arc where Blackbeard and Luffy fights, or the Blackbeard pirates fight Straw Hats, and that'll probably be in Laugh Tale, right? That'll probably be in the Laugh Tale arc. You know, I'm not saying we need it, but I feel as though it's been heavily implied that we're going to get it, right? Like Elbaf arc, right? Like I'm not somebody who goes around talking like we're definitely going to get an Elbaf arc, but you know, I think there has been a lot of things in the story that definitely has set up and foreshadowed an arc in Elbaf, right? We know that Big Mom has a lot of story left in Elbaf. Usopp talked about he going to Elbaf in his journey of becoming a warrior to sea. So yeah, we also need Elbaf arc. Now I believe with Oda, he can potentially condense some of these arcs, right? Like we could possibly have the war arc and the Elbaf arc. It could be the same arc, right? It could be the same arc. Or maybe like, you know, like we kind of talk about Blackbeard being part of the Laugh Tale arc, you know, the arc where they find the One Piece. So some of these arcs could like, it could be condensed, right? Like we could get in the Elbaf arc, it could lead to this big war, this major war that we know is happening, right? Like that could happen in or outside of Elbaf, right? It could happen in and outside of Elbaf. You know, Big Mom, if Big Mom does return to the story, and possibly even Kaido returns to the story, like let's say they get shot out of this volcano and they're still alive and they still have unfinished business, maybe we'll meet both of them in Elbaf, right? And also the world government could also go to Elbaf. You know, so I think there's many ways Oda could go with this to condense things into, let's say, 2 or 3 arcs, where we still get a lot of other story elements, you know, covered, I guess. Angel said, I would think possible, but Luffy has shown multiple times. Yeah, okay, I read that. And then he said saw predictions of 300 to 400, 450 more chapters. I think that's likely, right? I think that's likely. I'll probably go on the higher end of the 450, because let's say these next few arcs might be long, right? Like if Wano is as long as it was, I would think some of these final arcs, or especially if they're going to be bigger than Wano, like if they're going to be bigger or just as big as Wano, I would think, you know, each arc could potentially be like 200 chapters at the very least. And then let's say if you say we got 2 or 3 more arcs, like if we have 3, let's say 3, right? 3 final arcs, you know, or 3 more arcs until the end of this series. And, you know, you say maybe one of them arcs are kind of short, you know, but 2 of them are still long, or at least one of them is long. Like let's say one of them is super long, about 200 chapters. One of them is like maybe 150 chapters. and then one of them could be like 50 chapters or 100 chapters. You know, like I don't know. Rage says, "Is Elbaf an arc? Do we have any proof?" I don't know. I've never been. Look, I'm gonna say this. Now. I've never been one of these people that speak about Elbaf arc as if it's guaranteed to happen. You know, matter of fact, there was a stream I did a while ago that even said like I don't like a lot of people talk about this Elbaf arc like it's definitely going to be an arc, and I'm like, I don't think it's ever been confirmed to be an arc, but on the same aspect, a lot of people, Oda has foreshadowed Elbaf a lot. Like he's talked about Elbaf a lot. He's talked about, I think Usopp has talked about going to Elbaf. We know that Big Mom has a lot of unfinished business in Elbaf. And I think a lot of people believe Elbaf is supposed to be the arc where Big Mom gets taken down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of like, I don't think that has to be the case, especially since she was already taken down in Wano. Why does she have to be beaten twice? You know, if anything, if we do have an Elbaf arc, that could be more of an arc that is more of a redemption arc for Big Mom, because I don't want to see Big Mom keep taking L's. You know, I don't want to see her take another L. I think it would be kind of beaten, but some people believe that Luffy has to beat Big Mom. You know, they believe that it has to, because back in Fishman Island, right? Back in Fishman Island, Luffy said he was first going to take Kaido down, and then he was going to take Big Mom down after Kaido. So because Luffy said it, people believe that it has to happen. You know what I mean? I personally don't agree with that statement. I get why people believe it, but I don't agree that it has to happen just because Luffy said it. But that is a strong sentiment that I've heard from Straw or One Piece fans. So, you know, that's that, right? There's that. Angel said War Arc is supposed to be the longest arc. Yeah. I would think it would. If I would think any major arc that's supposed to be at least grander, like had on a scale grander than Wano, I would think that it would at least be the same length as Wano. But it you know what? I don't think that. I take that back, because in Wano, the whole Wano arc wasn't a war arc. A lot of it, there was some story behind Wano. It was setting up the environment. You know, like when getting to Wano with it, we had to meet people. We had to flesh out Odin's flashback. We had to flesh out some of Orochi, flesh out some of Kaido, flesh out some of these smaller characters. Now, if we have this war arc, on the other hand, and it's solely focused on war, and there's no important characters we need to introduce and flesh them out, then I could see the war arc being a little bit shorter than Wano, or as long as Wano. But if Oda himself said that the war arc was going to be the longest arc, then yeah, it would definitely have to be longer than Wano. Angel said Luffy and Usopp have wanted to go to Elbaf since Little Garden. Also, the Giants are Viking based, and Vikings are Oda's favorite type of pirates, so highly likely happen. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what Angel said, I guess, you know. I can see why people believe that we're getting a Elbaf arc. I just always said that it's never been confirmed that we're definitely getting it, right? But you know, like, we could also get some Elbaf stuff incorporated into a different arc, right? Like, we don't necessarily have to go to Elbaf, but again, there's a lot of stuff pointing to us going to Elbaf, so I can't ignore that, right? I can't ignore everything that's been built up leading to Elbaf. You know what I mean? Rage says, what if log point marks Elbath as it is last island before Laugh Tale? Oh, you just deleted those. You just deleted that. Since you deleted it, I'm not going to talk about it, man. I'm not going to talk about it. Let's continue this video, though.
Past, let's just assume for a second that they do for now. The most interesting and mysterious clue about Laugh Tale and the One Piece that we've gotten in the story so far is the Roger pirates actually arriving there and literally bursting into laughter, most likely after reading Joyboy's story, as Roger himself comments that he would have loved to meet Joyboy and be born in the same era as him. An era, by the way, that as far as we know was just mainly war and destruction. Well, if Luffy were Joyboy, that would mean that Roger was actually reading the story of the Straw Hats that we have been reading up to this point as well. A story that is meant to bring us joy with all its adventure.
Hey, this kind of leads back to it kind of leads back to a recent theory that I believe I did, where that I've done, where they talked about like Roger was reading Luffy's story. So and I think Angel, I think you was kind of championing that theory as well, or you was at least arguing for it. Like I don't know if you agreed with it, but you was at least playing devil's advocate. But yeah, so this is kind of going full circle into that, and that was a different video, right? We I can't remember who exactly did that. I think it was Marshall. I think it was Marshall D Preach's channel, but I think it was Wizard of Oz. I think it was his theory, where he said when he was talking about Roger saying I wish I could have been born in your time, Luffy, and or Joyboy, I wish I could have been born in your time, but he was literally talking about Luffy. So this is kind of playing back to that theory, right? This was kind of playing to that theory. Angel says War Arc will probably have a lot of world government characters and flashbacks. Yeah. Maybe some Garp, maybe some Sengoku, maybe some Akainu, some Kizaru possibly. Maybe Aokiji maybe Aokiji shows up, you know. What if Kizaru kind of that made me think though, man. Like what if Aokiji left the world government cuz Kizaru kind of interfered in his battle with Akainu? I don't know. That was just a random thought I just had. Rage said, "Can the island before Laugh Tale be Elbath?" I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know, because we don't really know where Laugh Tale is, right? And as far as we know that the last island at the end of the New World wasn't Laugh Tale. It was called what was it called? Logue Island or Logue. I don't remember it. I don't remember what that last island was called, but you know, it's that island where they said, I guess the minks, we learned in Zoe, if Luffy would have went to that final island, he would have just began learning pretty much everything they taught him at Zoe, right? When they told him about the roll poneglyphs, they told him that they told him all these things like, yeah, that last island isn't Laugh Tale. That last island is pretty much where you go to pretty much start your real journey, right? And we know that Roger pretty much traveled the world. He circumnavigated the world, and he finally made it to that last island, only for it to tell him that he needed the roll poneglyphs and all these. It told him all this other stuff, and then he pretty much had to go travel. I want to say he had to travel the New World over. You know, he had to travel it again. you know, with the new information that he got about finding Lasso. So, yeah. Angel said, yeah, the Luffy is the One Piece theory by Wizard of Oz. I don't know how I feel about it. And then he said Lodestar Island. Yeah. Lodestar Island. And then Ray says it have to Elbaf. That's how giants are saved, and Shanks try to save. I'm a little confused what you was trying to say right there, Rage. You have to Elbaf. That's how giants are saved, and Shanks try to save. Yeah, I'm a little confused where you're going. I'm a little confused what you're saying. But let's continue the video.
And a quirky crew, and Luffy being the person who will change the world by going back in time. And I think it would also be hilarious to Roger and Co, because not only would they be reading the
I think I'm starting to understand what he's saying, right? I think I'm starting to understand the premise of this theory. Okay. So the thing is, when he said Luffy is Joyboy, right? Like I'm starting to get where he's going, right? This whole time we're thinking that Luffy is Joyboy. Like that's what we're calling him. We're saying Luffy is the inheritor of Joyboy's will. But what he's saying is that's not the case. It's really like Luffy, right? Like we got the story about Luffy. Luffy is the grandson of Garp. Luffy is still the son of Dragon. All that stuff. That still hasn't changed. But supposedly Luffy goes back in time to pretty much set up events to where when time come when he, I guess when we go back to the present of time, right? The current Luffy, he pretty much changed things to give him a more fighting chance. So he went back in time and became Joyboy. And then, you know, maybe he never came back to the present day, but he pretty much set it up to where his current self has all the tools he needs to succeed in the present time. So I'm kind of really understanding what he means. This whole time we're thinking that Joyboy lived back in some time, he died, and then Luffy was eventually born, and Luffy inherited the will of Joyboy. But what he's saying is that Joyboy, the back in time Joyboy, is just Luffy going back in time to do whatever, right? And then he's still the same person, though. He's still the same person. I think that's where he's going with it. Which now it's kind of making a little more sense, right? Now it's kind of making a little more sense. Angel says, I wonder why Shanks is connected to the Giants. Yeah, I don't know. Let's continue.
The best story ever, but also follow the adventures of someone who will be born 20 years in their future. They themselves will be included in the story written on the poneglyphs as well. They will know all about how they themselves helped Luffy reach his goal. Pretty meta, I know, but let's be real, how awesome would that actually be? Luffy would of course tell the story where he was from and about his brother Ace and how his death would be the key to becoming Pirate King. And so suddenly Roger decides to have a kid that he then entrusts to none other than Garp, the man who he fought side by side with and Luffy's grandfather. It would also change the line of Roger wishing he had been born in Joyboy's era and Rayleigh saying that they were too early arriving at Laugh Tale. Because that would all make sense if they were talking about Luffy's era. Roger knew that he would die and never get to meet him. And it is also why they knew exactly about the 20 years until Joyboy's return. It of course also fits in really nice.
I'm not gonna lie though, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, I kind of like this theory. I kind of do like it. Like, I like it. I like it a little better than I like it better than the Luffy being the One Piece one. Only because it really kind of just flip, like he said, it does flip things on its head, right? If we come to find out that Joyboy, like the Joyboy that we've learned so much in the story, is really just Luffy going back into the past, you know. So I kind of like that because it's different, right? It adds a unique dynamic to the story, and I'm a big fan of kind of changing expectations and throwing in elements that still make sense, but just kind of completely change how you view a story, right? But still make sense. So I kind of like it. Now I don't know if I believe that it's likely. I don't know if I believe it's going to be the case, but I kind of like it though. I kind of do like it. Angel said, I like the Roger talking about Luffy. In this context, I like it more than I did during the Luffy being the One Piece and Roger talking about him wanting to be born in Luffy's era or whatever. But with this context behind it, I kind of like it a little more, you know. So yeah, let's continue.
With Odin's prediction of Joyboy returning and opening the borders of Wano, which of course has now pretty much happened. Zunisha was the one who confirmed that his old companion had returned, and who really better to make friends with a giant elephant than Luffy, who we have constantly been seeing befriending all types of giant animals throughout the story.
And At first, like during this theory, I was thinking that he was talking about, like, let's say Joyboy being sent to the future, you know what I'm saying, and then he becomes Luffy. I thought that's what he meant when he said Luffy is Joyboy. I thought that's what he meant. Like it was like Luffy came, like Joyboy was sent to the future, and then he lived his life as Luffy. To me, that wouldn't have made sense because it's like, you know, from what we know of Joyboy, he was an adult, possibly. You know, he was a man who lived his life. You know, or he could have been a woman. I don't know. He was a person who lived their life. You know, and done all these things, went around freeing people and all this stuff, and then he gets sent to the future and becomes Luffy, or he is Luffy, and it's like, well. When we met Luffy, Luffy was a very young kid that wouldn't seem able to do all the stuff that Joyboy was doing. So, you know, how does that work? You know what I mean? How does that work? But when you look at it from a perspective of Luffy going back to the future, you know what I'm saying? Especially with his devil fruit and everything, right? With his devil fruit. Which would that also make him Nika as well, right? Like would he be Nika? Because we know Nika. That's weird. Let's see, when you throw in time, when you throw in time elements, bro, things could get very confusing and convoluted. I will say that. But so far, I'm kind of liking. Let's just keep it at Joyboy, right? Let's just keep it at Joyboy. Nika could still be somebody different, but Joyboy being Luffy, you know, or Luffy being Joyboy, I guess. It's not that bad of a theory. Now that I'm hearing him explain his case. Angel said, this is where his theory began to kind of flop for me. The inherited will is the only thing that will ever explain it. I don't get how it flops. Was you on board with this theory this whole time, and then now it's starting to flop? I feel as though this is where it makes more sense than it has the previous 7 minutes. But let's continue.
Kraken Surume, the bull on Dressrosa, the animals during his time skip, you name it. Now, obviously, as you will have already noticed by this point, this idea gets really messy really fast, of course, like all time travel things do. Like, who influences what? Who actually changes the future? Or is everyone just caught in an eternal time loop in One Piece? How can Luffy actually change the present if he is part of the past? Well, telling such a story is a real walk along the edge, but if there is one person I would trust in pulling it off successfully, it is Eiichiro Oda. One major issue with this idea that otherwise Ace mentions with this theory is the fact that Buggy, Crocus, Shanks, and Rayleigh, all members of the Raja Pirates, didn't recognize Luffy as Joyboy. Or did they? Interestingly enough, however, we do know that it was exactly those three, Shanks, Buggy, and Crocus, that stayed behind as the Raja.
But the question is, do they know? Oh, I get what he's saying, though. I get what he's saying. Like, if they would have, like, well, Shanks wasn't there, so he wouldn't know, right? He didn't go to Laugh Tale. You know, Buggy didn't go to Laugh Tale either. So I don't think they were. They might not. They probably wouldn't know this secret, right? They probably wouldn't know this secret. Rayleigh and possibly Crocus, on the other hand, they would, right? They was at Laugh Tale, so they would know the secret about who Luffy is. And maybe for Rayleigh, he knew. Maybe for Rayleigh and Crocus, or at least for Rayleigh, maybe he might have known, but he just didn't want to change anything, right? Like, he didn't want to get involved, because if he would have said, "Look, Luffy, you are Joyboy," if he would have told him, that could have probably messed things up. That probably could have changed. That probably could have changed things. It could have ruined things. We don't know. So it's kind of like if you go back to the past and you go meet your mom, right? You go meet your mom and be like, "Hey, I'm your son," right? Your mom now knows something that she wouldn't have and didn't know. And now she could possibly do something to possibly change that outcome. And now it changes the present, or the future of that past, I guess, you know. So I guess Rayleigh didn't want to change anything. He didn't want to mess things up, potentially mess anything up. So yeah, maybe Rayleigh just kind of kept his mouth shut if he knew. Angel says Zunisha treats Luffy and Joyboy as different people, but Luffy is. Bro, I'm not even gonna acknowledge that statement. How does Zunisha treats Luffy and Joyboy differently? Like, we never seen how Zunisha treated Luffy after Luffy awakened his devil fruit. He just says Joyboy's back. That's all. He never treated Luffy any type of way. We never seen how he treated Joyboy. Like, I don't get where you base this statement off of that you're saying. Then he says, but Zunisha not recognizing Luffy could just be an age thing. Could be. Or, again, it could be Zunisha not interfering in what's supposed to happen, you know? Now let's continue.
Raja Pirates traveled to the final islands. They were the only three who never got to read the entire story. On top of that, I personally think that for Shanks and Crocus, you could very well argue that they did in fact recognize Luffy. As I've talked about a bunch before, Shanks basically bet everything on Luffy becoming the person Roger had been waiting for, the person who did eat the Nika fruit. Similarly, Crocus wonders if...
You know what I was thinking? Just imagine Luffy being in the past, right? Luffy being in the past, and he gives that his straw hat to somebody the same way Shanks gave the straw hat to him, and that person eventually gives the straw hat to Roger. Like, man, that's wild. That straw hat itself could be stuck in a time loop of just being passed down to the same people. Like, it's like Luffy gives the straw hat to somebody. They give the straw hat to somebody who gives the straw hat to Roger. Roger gives the straw hat to Shanks. Shanks gives the straw hat to Luffy. Luffy gives the straw hat to that one person. That one person gives the straw hat to the other person. The other person gives the straw hat to Roger. Roger gives the straw hat to Shanks. Shanks gives the straw hat again to Luffy. Luffy gives, like, it's just a time loop, right? It's just a time loop. That'd be wild. But Luffy was the originator of the straw. Would he be, if it's a time loop? Who is the originator of the straw hat? If it was indeed a time loop of people handing the straw hat down to each other, right? That's a scary thought right there.
Luffy is the same man that they've been waiting for, implying that Roger was waiting for Joyboy, who we now know is in fact Luffy. And Rayleigh, yes, who did go to Love Tale, has been acting very suspiciously around Luffy right from the start. The very first words he tells Luffy is that he always wanted to meet him. The very same words Roger used on Love Tale. I mean, even out of the blue, he offers Luffy to tell him and the crew the secret of Love Tale, already knowing that Luffy would refuse, and then goes on to train him personally for 2 years. If this theory is true, Rayleigh absolutely knows exactly that Luffy is indeed Joyboy. Actually, looking at it from this lens makes all of Luffy's interactions with Rayleigh just pure goosebump moments for me. Like, for example, when Rayleigh asks Luffy whether he can actually do it and conquer the Grand Line, that smile he has there is just so all-knowing. He tells Robin not to be too hasty and continue that.
I mean, I guess that smile could mean more than we think, but it could just be pretty much what we believed it was when we see it, was just Rayleigh just kind of seeing Roger in Luffy, or seeing Roger's will within Luffy almost. Like it's like if you have a best friend, right? And then your best friend has a son, and then his son is just like him. You're like, damn, man, you just like your dad, man. Like, I see your dad in you so much, even though, like, Roger isn't Luffy's dad or anything, but he's seen Roger's essence, or he's seen, like, his personality within Luffy, so he just kind of cracked that smile. At least that's what I got out of it. But it could also have more meaning, like Manu is saying, right? Let me see what you talking about, man. You said how nostalgic that rhythm, Joyboy. Hey, Joyboy. It's as if you're right there. How exhilarating. This all feels like fate. I can't help but think that we should put our faith in this boy. And then Luffy says, "Who, me? I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the man who's going." I don't really see that, like, cause that's really the first time we really even hear Zunisha say anything, right? But it's like, well, I mean, we seen him talk to Momonosuke too, so I guess that's not the first time. But it's like, it's hard to gauge how Zunisha is treating Luffy. He says something about Luffy, and I guess he does kind of treat him like they're different. I do kind of see what you mean. I do kind of see what you mean. I guess he is kind of treating him like they're separate as well, But again, is it just he doesn't recognize Joyboy as a young man, right? Like, he knew Joyboy, but when did he meet Joyboy is the question. You know what I'm saying? Because if he met Joyboy as an adult, right? And Luffy is, let's go by the principle that Luffy's Joyboy, right? That Luffy went back to the past, stayed in the past, and he did everything he did as when he was Joyboy, right? Let's say that. if let's say Luffy goes back in his past and he was older when he met Zunisha, Zunisha would have met Joyboy as he looked different, right? So when he sees Joyboy as a kid, as a teenager, he might not actually be able to tell the difference. Like he might not be able to tell that he is the same person he knew all this time ago. Now, I think where this theory falls apart though, where I believe this theory falls apart is if Luffy goes back into the past. You know, that would mean that he has to consistently go. His fate is to forever to be in this time loop of going back into the past, becoming the Joy Boy of the Void Century, doing everything. Time goes back again. Everything happens the exact same way it did happen. The story starts as it was. Luffy is born. He does everything. Blah blah blah. Like, where does the actual resolution take place to stop Luffy from having to constantly go back into the past? You know what I mean? Angel said, "Not. I mean, she talks to him like a different person." Yeah, that's why I said she might not recognize him because of age. And again, it's kind of your wording. I thought you, when you say she treats him different, or you said Zunisha treats Luffy and Joyboy as different people. When you say she treats him, it sounds more along the line as you're saying like that's how they interact, right? Like when Zunisha, like it's like if I treat you a certain way, right? Like if I treat you good, I'm gonna do nice things for you, right? And when you say Zunisha treats Luffy, like I've never seen Zunisha do anything for Luffy or even interact with Luffy in any type of way. But I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean. Your wording just kind of made me think, like it made me take your point differently than what you meant. But I get what you mean. Let's continue though.
Journey one step at a time, as if to say that they shouldn't skip ahead to the point that he already knows they will reach. He says that even if he told them the truth, the Straw Hats wouldn't be able to do anything about it anyways the way they are right now. Like, dude, if Rayleigh knows what the Straw Hats will become and tell them the truth, of course it wouldn't really help Luffy and Co at all. They would still need to become strong enough in the first place. And he literally tells Robin that they will see it all in the end anyways, as if he already knows they're gonna be successful and kind of live through it themselves. Now, all of this is of course highly confidential and sensitive information that Rayleigh's sharing here, even without giving away the entire story. And you really wouldn't want that falling into the hands of the wrong people, like say Blackbeard. And while this entire communication is taking place inside a secure and trustworthy space on Sabaody, the same can't really be said about your conversations and activities online. Luckily, there's a solution for that. NordVPN, the sponsor of today's video.
Angel said, but I honestly just think it's inherited will that's what make Luffy Joy Boy. And then he said, like the way she talks about Joy Boy this chapter is like the Joy Boy she knows is not there. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And that's why I say I get what you said. But when you first say like Zunisha treats Luffy and Joy Boy differently, it's like the context of how it sounded, that statement that you made that she treats him differently. It's like when I hear somebody like you treat somebody a certain way, right? It means like your actions with them are a certain way. Like if you might be nice to him, you might be friendly with him, you might be mean to him, you might be all these things with them. You might be generous and give them stuff. And that's kind of what I mean. Like Zunisha has never really interacted with Luffy. So my point was, I don't know how Zunisha treats Luffy because we never see them interact, right? Versus, and we don't know how she treated Joy Boy back in the day. But but I get your statement. You saying how she talks about them. She talks about them differently. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you mean. It's just the wording gave me a different context of what you meant. So, you know, and then Angel said like they said I keep misusing words. Sorry. Yeah, that's all good. I just it's the context, man. It's just the context kind of confused me. But let's continue.
That will give you the same peace of mind around your online privacy as a small, cozy, and confidential room on the You can get your exclusive NordVPN deal using my link nordvpn.com/Ohara in the description below. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee as well. Now, continuing on that thought, Robin might very well have been the one who wrote the poneglyphs in the first place, including the one on Fishman Island that first mentions Joyboy by name. It would mean that Joyboy's promise to the Mermaid Princess is literally Luffy's promise to Shirahoshi the last time that they met.
I mean that's a good point. That's a good point. You know what I'm saying? Like Luffy promised Shirahoshi. It's a good point, you know. And I kind of like that. I kind of like. I ain't gonna lie. I kind of like the idea of Robin being the one that write the. Like now, I'm starting to get ideas with this theory, man. Because now I'm thinking of like Zoro really being Ryuma. Like just imagine Zoro being Ryuma and him being the like I always sit here and talk about like Zoro being a descendant of the Shimotsuki clan. But what if I've been wrong this whole time? What if I've been wrong this whole time? What if Zoro's not really a descendant of the Shimotsuki clan? What if Zoro is the original Shimotsuki, right? What if he became the original Shimotsuki? Like, what if he's Ryuma and Ryuma is the original Shimotsuki, right? Even though from what we know with Ryuma always had one sword, or Ryuma was a one sword style user. So if that means if Zoro went back to the past, he would probably get rid of only become he would probably become a one sword style user if let's say he is Ryuma, you know what I'm saying, and he will also have to dye his hair black. And it makes me think of Sanji, right? Sanji being in the past. We know that Judge been experimenting on creating these perfect humans. What if this whole time he been trying to recreate the next Sanji? Right? Like, what if Sanji is looked at as this phenomenon from like this biological phenomenon of a human, you know what I'm saying? In the Void Century, and Judge has just been trying to recreate Sanji, you know what I'm saying? Even though he's Sanji's father, he's been trying to recreate Sanji, which ultimately he's just producing, you know, he's just in this cycle of trying to recreate what he was the one who created. You know what I'm saying? Even though he did Sanji it's Sanji's mom who did that stuff where she tried to undo Judge's work, right? Which eventually created Sanji, you know. And then would that mean like could Chopper be the original leader of the Minks? Could he be the original could Chopper have created the Minks, right? Hey man, could Frankie be the influence behind Vegapunk? I low key kind of like this theory for some of the things it could produce, right? So I don't know. Let's continue though, or see what you guys are saying. Angel says, I keep misusing words. And then you said Ryuma was alive 400 years ago, so not possible. Maybe Ryuma's a descendant of Zoro. Let's say if they go back to the Void Century, you know, maybe Ryuma was a descendant of the Void Century, you know, and that would make a more, you know, maybe the Shimosuke, like Zoro wasn't the original Shimosuke, but he was the original ancestor of the Shimosuke, right? Maybe his children eventually birthed Ryuma, and then maybe Ryuma eventually birthed the first Shimosuke, right? So I don't know. Let's continue though.
In the present. What I love so much about this theory up to this point is how it deals with the idea of prophecy and Luffy being Joyboy in by far the most elegant way I have come across personally. Luffy and the Straw Hats literally being the one who created the poneglyphs and telling Roger about himself and their journey, telling him exactly when they would arrive at Wano and free it, perfect. And it would also open up so many other fun possibilities, like Luffy being the first one to pass on his Straw Hat, only to receive it back 800 years later.
Bruh, I literally just said that, man. I literally just said that. But it's like Shanks gave Luffy, Shanks gave Shanks gave Joyboy the Straw Hat first. I mean, I low-key kind of like it because of the possibilities. I still don't know if I believe this is going to be the case, but let's continue though. Let's continue.
By Shanks. Or Frankie being Vegapunk who got left behind in the past. You get the idea. And I'm sure you guys will be able to come up with a ton more as well. Now, assuming that all of this were actually true, which I think already would require a lot of assumptions to be true, all of this leaves us, of course, with another big question. How would the Straw Hats travel back in time in the first place? Well, the first really good message in this regard is that time travel has been established officially as a real possibility in One Piece with the introduction of Toki and her powers. For now, all we know is that it's definitely possible to travel into the future, but it opens up the door very wide to the possibility of traveling into the past as well. One option would be, for example, that Laugh Tale itself functions as a sort of portal to the past, which would be similar to the idea that it is a portal to the underworld, based on the song being Sake, that seems to contain a lot of hints around the One Piece. Another possibility could be the national treasure of Marijua, maybe the giant straw hat itself being a device that allows for time travel, which might, for example, be how Emu and the world government have remained in power for so long. Who knows, maybe whenever something went wrong, they would just reset that event and make it never happen in the first place. That would actually be a pretty freaky idea, thinking that the government has actually been overthrown a bunch of times successfully before, but they just always changed the past. That would also work really nicely with the image of Emu on the throne looking like the hand of a clock. But by far, the most likely option would of course be the possibility of a devil fruit having that same ability. As you probably know, there are certain sets of devil fruits that work either as extensions or opposites to each other, like the fire fruit being a weaker version of the magma fruit, or Baby Five's fruit being a stronger version of Mr. Once. Then there would be opposite ones like Bello Betty's fruit and Perona's, one that drains morale and one that boosts it, or Conjuro that can make 2D things into 3D, and Jolla that turns 3D things into 2D. Jolla, who by the way is part of the same crew as Treble. Now in case you don't know, I've been trying to overtake Treble in terms of bounty worth. This slimy and obnoxious man has a bounty of 99 million berries, and if you convert all 580,000 of you awesome people into yen, berries basically, that would give me a bounty of 58 million, and I just can't let that stand, so please help me overtake Treble. Now, this theme of opposite or supplementary fruits is especially true for paramecia type fruits. In other words, if there's a devil fruit that allows you to travel into the future, it would not be all too far-fetched to have a fruit that allows you to do just the opposite.
Yeah, I think so, right? I think so, but that would be that devil fruit is way more dangerous than the devil fruit sends you to the future, because you can actually change the past. you know. But I kind of like the portal, possibly, you know, because you had to, because that mean that time devil fruit user has to always be around in order to continue this loop. You know what I mean? So I don't know if a time devil fruit that sends you to the past would be viable, because it's like, let's say Luffy has to go back to the past. That means he had, but then again, if it's fate for that time devil fruit user to always send Luffy back to the past, I guess he will be there, right? It's just a matter of who he or she is, right? Angel says another plot hole with this is Rayleigh saying the past doesn't really matter, the decisions you make after finding out the true history. He also said it doesn't matter because you can't do anything about it. You have to refresh my memory on that, on release, on Rayleigh's statement.
Opposites. Or maybe another alternative would be that it's an awakening ability of the time fruit itself. Now, Toki is of course a very interesting character in this context in particular. Why did she travel into the future from the Void Century? How did she know where exactly to travel to meet Oden? How did she know to send the samurai exactly to Luffy's time periods? And why did she decide not to travel into the future herself? Well, if she met Luffy and Co during the Void Century, she would know all about the Ancient Kingdom's demise being near and trying to prepare a counter move herself. She would be the perfect candidate to send the Straw Hats back to their timeline and then follow them into the future to try and take down the world governments. Time travel or not, devil fruits will most likely be the key to the Void Century and the secrets of the One Piece world. And if you truly want to understand where they might have come from, you really shouldn't miss out this video right here.
Alright, y'all. That is the video. I'm gonna give Ohara a like. Most definitely. Yeah, so what you guys think of the theory? What you guys think of the theory? I ain't gonna lie, at first the theory kinda was a little shaky to me, and it still is. I think there's a lot of things you could pick apart with this theory, because at the end of the day, when you got a theory that's built on like time, you know, like going back to the past and future, that could be a very messy and convoluted thing. That's why like having time abilities is always, it's tough, right? It's tough because for you guys, you watch DC, or you guys follow DC Comics or Marvel, and you know you follow Flash, the character Flash. Flash could pretty much travel through time. Like he runs through, he could travel outside of time, so he could go back in time and in the future and stuff. So when he does that, like if he goes back into the future to save his mom, right? It changes a lot of stuff in the future, the present. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the time, like it's a very dangerous thing to mess with when you dealing with time in a story. So if Oda does incorporate like time and Luffy going back in time to be Joyboy or whatever, it will be a very dangerous thing, and I would definitely hope that Oda knows what he's doing. You know, I hope he has an idea of how he's going to execute it, because it's gonna be tough. I thought you were sending me something about Rayleigh, not Ryuma. Cause I see your Ryuma thing you sent me. Man, you guys send them in like one place, man. You sending me stuff in different places. All right. So even if I told you everything in history right now, there is nothing you could do about it. The answer you will arrive at may be different from ours, even after you see the world in its entirety at your own pace. Yeah, I think that goes into like you're not prepared for it right now. Like if I told you everything there is, you can't do it. You don't have the ability. You don't have the capabilities of Cause I think he made this statement already in the video. I think he addressed this statement. But if you still want to know, I will tell you everything that happened in this world. Yeah, I think Ohara already kind of pointed this out or acknowledged it. He said, I liked it at first, but I couldn't think of a reason for Luffy to do that after completing his goal. Yeah, my biggest gripe is would this be a time loop for Luffy, right? Would this be a time loop for Luffy? And it could very well be if this is the case. You know, it could be it could very well be. It could be like Luffy having to be in this time loop, having to always go back in time and be that person to make to set the world up for success. Like maybe it's a loop for him. Like every time he succeeds his goal, he has to go back in time. So for him it's a loop, but for the rest of the world, it's like it's you know, like after he does his thing, it kind of the world is a better place, but he's going into this time loop that he can't break. So yeah, like him and the Straw Hats, you know. But I kind of like the possibilities that this could that this thing could lead to. Um, like Robin being the one to being the person who come up with the idea of the poneglyphs, you know, or you know, going back and she's the one that writes all this stuff and like, hey, you know, like she writes all this stuff and say, I don't want you guys to, because I don't think she's gonna actually make the poneglyphs. You know, that's the Koski that makes the poneglyphs. But her though, she might be like, I want you guys to write all this into the poneglyphs, and then they write it right. With Zoro, he could be the catalyst of the Shimoski clan. He could be the original ancestor of the Shimoski clan, right? Yeah, and he could also be like the ancestor of Ryuma, right? Frankie could be Vegapunk. Like I'm not against that. Let's say Vegapunk is, you know, since he's like, let's say Frankie becomes a cyborg and like, or him being a cyborg allows him to live pretty much forever, and then he eventually becomes Vegapunk. But the question is, why would he help the world government? You know what I'm saying? Unless helping the world government is necessary in order for things to work out correctly for Luffy in the future. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Sanji. You know, maybe he is the original archetype for judges studies, right? Like maybe he is the original archetype where judge is like, you know what, I wanna create another Sanji, so I wanna create somebody like this being, this famous guy who has like this uniquely weird body that is like almost inhuman, right? I wanna create someone like him, and then he has these kids, and then he literally creates the person that he's been trying to recreate, right? In Sanji. And then like where else could you go with this? Nami, right? What if Eam is one of the Straw Hats? What if Eam is Brook? I don't think Eam is Brook because Eam has like actual pupils. Brook doesn't have pupils. So I don't know how that would be. I don't know how that would work out. But people talk about Brook being immortal all the time. So, and we talk about Eam possibly being immortal, and now we're talking about the Straw Hats going into the past. So, what if Eam is one of the Straw Hats that like betrayed him or seen the flaw in what they were doing? You know, I would say it could possibly be Nami. It could possibly be Brooke. And I just say Brooke because Eam is super skinny, right? Like we see Eam looks super skinny, so and we know Brooke is super skinny. So I don't think that's the case. Also the immortality that both of them potentially have. A lot of people believe Brooke to be immortal. A lot of people believe Eam to be immortal. You know, uh, I don't. I don't know like where Jinbei will fall in this whole thing, or Yamato, or Usopp. You know, Usopp could potentially be like some big hero. I hey hey I think it could work out well for Usopp. Let's say if he goes back into the past, becomes this this great warrior, and then like he's one of the guys that the Shindorians talk about or something along that line. Like I think that would be pretty unique right there. You know. Uh and then Angel says, "Why go back in time when you completed the goal you were trying to accomplish with the loop?" I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. You know, it's a good question, but I don't have an answer for that. But if Luffy, if Luffy, it could also just be a sake of they go back in time and they don't. It's not something intentional. Maybe they accidentally go back in time. You know, it again like maybe when they go to Laugh Tale, there's a portal, you know, and then maybe out of intrigue, you know, Luffy, if he sees something that looks interesting, he's going to go through it. He's going to go through it without question. So maybe they go through time involuntarily. You know, I think that's the best explanation I could give you at the moment. You know, then he said, by the way, Bluff, or he said, by the way, Bluff, I don't think the other Straw Hats go back in time in this theory, or do they? Bro, it's a theory. I can't tell you. It's a theory. It's not. I I don't know. You know, it's just a theory. Um, I would say yeah. You know, because again, maybe they potentially go through a portal on accident. Maybe they accidentally go through go back to the past. Maybe or maybe they accidentally go to the past, but some of the Straw Hats don't go because they're not on the ship at the point, right? Or or maybe a few of them go through the portal and then the portal closes and then the rest of them can't go, right? And those who are meant to go, or those who actually affected time, like maybe Frankie, maybe Zoro, maybe Robin, maybe potentially Nami. You know what I'm saying? Potentially, I think I said Zoro. You know, like maybe a few of them go right. Maybe it's like they're walking through this portal and it closes before all of them could go through. I don't know. I don't know. It again, it's a theory. You know, the all the details and everything is you know, it's just a theory, right? It's just a theory. It's not fully I don't want to say it's not a fully thought out theory, but I don't think it's fully thought out, you know. Um and you said but Zoo can see it being more of a one-time thing and that this Luffy will accomplish the goal. The past, future Luffy couldn't. I'm a little confused with your but Bazoo can't. Are you talking about Zunisha? But Zunisha can see it being more of a one time. Or are you saying but you can see it? Yeah, I don't know. It could be like an accidental thing. It doesn't have to be like Luffy like making a decision to go back into the past to do all this stuff. Maybe he just accidentally goes, and while he's there, it's like, hey, I might as well at least continue to do all this stuff. I don't know. It's just a theory. Again, I don't think it's that probable for this theory to happen, but I like it. You know what I'm saying? I like some of the ideas, and it could possibly answer some questions that we don't necessarily get answered. Like, let's say if Zoro, if we come to find out and we never really get a Zoro flashback, maybe Zoro is his own ancestor, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we would still need some type of flashback for Zoro, at least for current Zoro, I don't know. Anyway, y'all let me know what you guys think about this theory. You know what I mean? You agree with it? Is it just a complete reach? Let me know, like, matter of fact, let me know if you guys, for the guys who believe this theory, or at least if you just want to entertain the theory, like, what if it is true? What are some ideas that you could get, some theories you could get out of it, right? Like, I sit here, like, we sat here and talked about how Frankie could potentially be, like, he could go into the future or to the past and eventually become Vegapunk of the present, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe he is the influence behind Vegapunk, maybe. What about Usopp? What about Zoro, Sanji, Robin, all these people, like, them being in the past? What do you believe some speculations that you guys could come up with how they affected the current timeline? You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to know your guys' thoughts. Put those in the comments, especially if you're watching this after the stream. Angel said, I don't think it would be a time loop, and more of it being Luffy going the past because his crew died or something. So he tries to make things to where he wins Great Stream. But I think you kind of miss where the time loop comes into play. The time loop is the fact that Luffy has to go back into the future each time, right? Like, there was a previous Luffy that went back into the future and became Joyboy, the Joyboy that we read in all these poneglyphs. So if it's ever a point where Luffy has to go back in time again, then that's where the time loop is, so everything kind of restarts. That's what makes it a time loop, especially if he can't come back to the present, So, and that's kind of why I think in this theory it may be necessary for Luffy to be stuck in a time loop, so the people in the present can exact, like, they can get all these benefits that Joyboy pretty much put into play. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the time loop comes in. But yeah, y'all. You said no. I'm saying he would make it to where he wouldn't have any reason to go to the past. But that kind of, how does he make it? How does he make it like that without going into the past? And the purpose of this theory is that Luffy goes back into the past. That's kind of like where that's where he started with this theory, is that Luffy has to go back into the past. How do you make it without going into the past? But anyway, y'all, that's pretty much all I got for the stream. Let me know your thoughts on this stream. Is there anything you agree with? Anything you disagree with? Be it Ohara or me? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you agree with? What don't you agree with? Put it like, if you're gonna comment what you don't agree or do agree with it, put like a timestamp, right? A timestamp from the video of the part that you disagree with, so I know what you're referencing when you talk about it. Also, let me know some of your theories on the idea of the Straw Hats going back in time and affecting the present day. Like give me some speculation of what could come out of that, right? Like a Robin possibly making the poneglyphs that we see today, the whole Zoro possibly being the Shimosuke ancestor, and indirectly his ancestor possibly. Maybe also being Ryuma's ancestor. Like, what's some ideas you guys could come with? Let me know in the comments. I really appreciate you guys. Shout out to Angel's Room for being part of the stream. Shout out to Rage. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Also subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell for notifications so you guys know when I go live. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for, to stay updated on any news of what I am doing. And if you are looking for a One Piece community to be a part of, we have the Discord, which is the best place to send me videos to react to. So make sure you guys do that. And we also have the One Piece Facebook group. So there you guys go. All these will be linked in the description box, as well as the link to the video we watched today. What's today? Thursday? Yeah, today is Thursday. So we will be back here tomorrow. We will be back here for Friday. Yeah. And I got a video lined up, bro. A video I'm excited for because it's about my man, Mihawk. Yes, sir. I'm excited for this video. I was thinking of doing it today, but I was like, you know what? Tomorrow's Friday, so I'm going to save Friday stream for Mihawk, baby. We talk about Mihawk on Friday. So y'all make sure you guys check that stream out. Same time as it was today, 12 p.m. I think I forget the I forget the time that I'm on, but just think of today. Whatever time you catch this stream on, that's pretty much gonna be the time. It's like 12 o'clock Las Vegas time. 12 p.m. Las Vegas time. So there's that. Anyway, y'all, it's your boy Sean P, the Bluff Guy, and I'm out of here. Y'all have a good evening.